What is going on, you guys? It is Wednesday. I didn't plan on touching my car till at least the weekend because I was annoyed with it. Because my brakes still didn't work. As of yesterday, put a new master cylinder in. I bled the brakes. I thought as good as I could. Still no brakes. Couldn't figure out what the problem was. I talked to a few people today. I missed a crucial step. I am not perfect. I'm not a master mechanic. I do make mistakes. I'm not afraid to say that. So it's all a learning game. So I'm learning new stuff. So I missed the bench bleed step, which what you do is basically when you get a new master cylinder, there's air inside it, and just adding brake fluid to it and pumping the brakes, you're creating air bubbles that are going into your lines and all through the master cylinder and all that kind of stuff. The way you bench bleed it is you have lines like little, like right here. I have some right here. Boom. You screw them into your brake lines, run it back up into the reservoir, and you constantly do a cycle of fluid around and around until there's no more bubbles left. That's how you bench bleed the reservoir, sorry, not the reservoir, the master cylinder, so there's no air in it. And then after that, you install it back into the car, put your brake lines on, and then you bleed each brake. And then you get all the air out of the brake lines to each caliper, this and that, and then you should have brakes. If you let the reservoir run dry and get air in the master cylinder again, you start all over it. So I hope to not do that. Tonight though, I don't have a lot of time, but I think the good thing about working at a dealership, almost everybody is, well, they're all really nice. They all know a lot of things, but they almost have every tool I could ever need. So, one real quick, I got another thing of brake fluid, and some kits are different. My car, I have four, that's three, sorry, four, I can't hold it. There's four brake lines for mine, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, with little connectors down here that go into each line that run it back up. A lot of kits I saw today only have like 2 lines, so that's Volkswagens are where we have 4, whatever reason. But I have 4 lines to put in my brake lines, run it back to the top, hopefully do a good job at bench bleeding the master. So we're gonna pull it out for like the 4th time, but it is what it is. So let's get this knocked out. Just to reiterate real quick, these are just little fittings right here. There's a small size and a larger size. Screw those into each one of your brake line fittings on the master. Then you run the hose back up and into the reservoir, fill it with some fluid. You use like a screwdriver or something like that to press in and out the cylinder itself on the master cylinder. Pump the fluid through until you have no air bubbles in the lines. Once you have no air bubbles and just straight fluid in each one, you know it's been bled and you're good to go. Also, if you watched yesterday's vlog, I also fixed my check valve on my tank, so now it's holding air, or it should be, I haven't checked it just yet, and I'm also not blowing fuses anymore, so that's also 2 very good things. Right now, I'm going to check real quick. I'm going to hit with my paddles real quick. If we hear a nice sound, we're good. We still have air in the tank. If we hear nothing, then I have more problems with the check valve. So let's see what we got. Sorry, it's kind of dark. Let's listen to this. Oh yeah, what a glorious sound. So, check valve was a problem. My tank is now fixed. I'm also not blowing fuses anymore because my tank was getting overpressurized. So that's 2 awesome things. Oh, that's so good. So today I'm going to do the bench bleed on the master cylinder. Tomorrow Larry will be home on Thursday. We will bleed all of the brakes, and so hopefully by tomorrow I will have brakes yet again, because I didn't want to be doing this, honestly, but I want to get this done before the weekend because I have other things that I want to do and not spend more time on these brakes. So while I have a little extra time during the week, we're going to get this knocked out. Let's go. So I am not going to explain how to pull out your master cylinder in this video. If you want to see all that in more detail, watch the last video, but I'm going to get it pulled out real quick as fast as I can. I will check back in with you guys here in a second. Boom, master cylinder is out. And I'm not gonna brag, but like, I'm getting pretty good at pulling that out. Because like the 4th time I've done it, I'm getting pretty good. I did it in the dark with no lights and just knocked it out. So that's out. We'll get our lines put in and we'll begin the bench bleed process. So first step is putting your master cylinder into a vise like this. I use some bubble wrap around the mounting piece over here, not to scratch or mess it up. If you don't have a vise, well, you're screwed. It's all over. I'm only joking. If you don't have a vise, I guess you could just hold it like a peasant, I guess. I don't know. Get a vise, because trying to hold it and do all that to be annoying, so you're gonna need a vise for this. Next step, we're gonna screw in our lines to our master cylinder. Alright, so no joke, 1, 2, and 3 took me like 5 seconds to screw in. No problem. Dude back here, literally 10 minutes. Did not want to thread in, but we're all good now. Next step, pull our cap here off. I can do this one-handed. Yeah. Pull our cap here off, run your lines back into the reservoir. You can use tape or something to kind of hold it there, or like it's got a pencil down inside it. We're going to fill it up with some fluid. Then I'm gonna get a screwdriver, start pressing back here, and then we're gonna watch the fluid go through these and back down. Our goal is to have no air bubbles in any of these lines. Once you've done that, then you know you're good to go. Next step is done. All 4 lines are going back into the reservoir, using my handy dandy wrench to hold them in. This is more difficult to hold them in when you have 4 lines versus like the normal 2 you see in these videos, but I made it happen. Next we're gonna fill this with brake fluid, and we're gonna start pumping. Then you can watch all the air go around. Basically we're making a closed circuit. We wanted to have just straight fluid, and then you know this is completely full of fluid, no air. That's what we want. At this point the reservoir is nice and full. You wanna pump nice and slow. What I learned, well, I talked one of the texts today, when if you have mushy brakes and you start mashing the pedal, like braking, pushing, what that does is create a bigger air bubble than you already had. So yesterday when I was mashing my brakes trying to make them work, I was just making the problem even worse. So nice and slow, consistent, don't make air bubbles. Alright, so I moved us to a new spot over here. Hopefully you guys can still see alright. Hope I'm not in your way. So we're going to watch right here. I'm going to use my screwdriver here to press the cylinder in, and we should be able to see the fluid go up and around. And we're going to take our time, press slowly. I've never done this before, so let's see. Oh, there it goes. So as you can see, there's a lot of air bubbles inside there. Massive air bubble here. So continue. Oh, there's air bubbles. Oh, tons of stuff in there. So we're going to do this for a little while here, and hopefully get rid of all the air pockets in here. Also make sure, don't let this run empty, because then you have to start over. And we don't want to start over. That's no fun. The last thing I want to do is start over. I'm going to pour some more fluid in there right now. Make sure we stay topped off. And then we continue. A lot better than before, but still a lot of little air bubbles in there. We want to try and get everything out. And I also have this tilted a little bit. You want to try and keep it as level as possible. So that was my bad, but I fixed it, so we should be good. Alright, so I think at this point, I've basically bled the entire system, because right now, all I see is 1 or 2 really small bubbles in like a couple of the hoses every now and then. The level here isn't going down anymore, it's just going up when I press it in, and going back down to the same level, so I'm not sucking any more fluid through. So I'm going to do it a few more times just to make sure, but I think we got it. I think we're just about there. A couple little bubbles here and there. I think we're just about there. Alright, I think we're good. At this point, the master has been bench bled, so there should be no air left in the cylinder. Should be good to go. I just asked in our group text, how do I now install it? Because I'm not quite sure on the next step. Because most of the videos I watched just showed how to do this and not putting it back in the car. So I don't know if I put it back in the car with all the lines still on and like take one line off at a time and switch it out for my brake line, or just pull them off all now. I don't know. So I don't want to risk getting more air in it somehow and messing up and having to start all over. So I'm waiting to hear back from them, and then we'll either install it tonight or I'll just leave it out for now and then install it tomorrow when I'm bleeding the brakes. One or the other, we'll see. Alright, so apparently I am messing up again. I just spoke with Danny. He said it's best to do this whole situation, the bench bleed and bleeding your brakes at the exact same time, so your lines aren't sitting open. Didn't know. I'm not doing it all tonight. It is what it is. I'm gonna let that sit till tomorrow when Larry's here. We will bleed the brakes tomorrow. I taped over all my lines here to hopefully keep as much out as possible, but we're gonna have to bleed them regardless, just a little bit more now. As long as the master cylinder is still bled and there's no air in there, I'm okay. The brake lines, it is what it is. So tomorrow when I get back home, sometime later tomorrow night, Larry will also be here. We will put that back in and we'll bleed the brakes, and hopefully at that point we'll have brakes say a freaking prayer, because I don't want to touch this no more. I just want to enjoy my brakes. I want to enjoy the car. I just want to drive it for like at least a little while and have it all be good to go. And actually, it was good to go, and then I decided, let's swap the rear brakes out. But if the master was already going out, it would have messed up anyways. Oh well. Anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow.